Let me show you this amazing piece that sold overnight. Oh my goodness. Look at that. This came to me in a Fleek box, and I'm going to be talking a lot more about Fleek in this video. This was definitely one of my favorite pieces from that box. It was not the first to sell, which I was kind of surprised by. Like, a good number of items from that box have sold at this point, but this is vintage Abercrombie & Fitch, 100% wool, men's size large. Kind of confusing because I saw, when I was looking for comps on this piece, I saw some items that were identical as far as like the big moose is concerned, but the tag was Woolrich instead of Abercrombie & Fitch, so it's a mystery. I don't really care. It sold for $80 on Mercari with the buyer paying for shipping. So let's ship, let's talk about our day, let's talk about what we're gonna do, let's talk about Fleek, let's get into it.
Won't nobody love you the way they should. Won't nobody check up on you, make sure you're good. Won't nobody check those body buttons for your neck.
Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I'm a part-time reseller on a variety of reselling platforms, and in today's video I thought I'd just kind of take you with me during the day. It is Monday, November 21st. I should be at school, but we are having a few e-learning days. This is the third of the fourth e-learning day that we're going to have in a row, and it's because of pretty sucky circumstances. My daughter is also home. She's supposed to be at school. She goes to an elementary school in a different district, but she's home with me because she started feeling really sick last night. You know, it just worked out that I happened to be home, and so we're hanging out. She's taking a nap right now, and I had all these things I wanted to accomplish today. I was going to take you along, you know, with me for the ride. Things are going to change. The schedule is going to change, especially, you know, given that my daughter is home, and my number one priority obviously is taking care of her and making sure that she's feeling the least amount of miserable as possible. But I took the liberty of writing out a schedule, and let me be very transparent about a couple things. One is my handwriting usually is not this nice, but I knew I was going to show you what I wrote down, so I wrote a little bit more neatly than I normally would have. And secondly, the schedule is bound to change, again, because my daughter is home with me, and I am not in control of my schedule in that way. So here's what I want to do. It is 10:52. I said I want to film from 11 to 1 p.m. I have like 4 what sold videos I can shoot. I have a couple kind of like tip/topical type videos, and this one I think will kind of just encapsulate what I do all day. But I wanted to spend a couple hours filming. Obviously I'm going to eat lunch for a little bit, and then I wanted to photograph for about an hour and a half, maybe just an hour, because my in-laws are coming for Thanksgiving. Hopefully, fingers crossed, as long as my daughter, you know, continues to test negative for COVID, and hopefully she gets better, because my in-laws are a little bit older. We don't really want them to be around people who are sick, so we'll see what happens. But if they're here, obviously I don't want to be, you know, holed up in this space taking pictures and not really spending time with them. So I want to kind of get ahead of the game when it comes to photographing, so that I have a lot of stuff photographed, and I can just kind of list like at night before I sleep or something like that, and that'll be easy to do because I already have the photographs. And then lastly, I want to edit, you know, the many YouTube videos I hope to film. Again, I just want to have an abundance of videos filmed, so that when I have time throughout the week, I can edit, and I don't have to also, you know, allot time to film. So when I feel a little overwhelmed, when I feel like there's a lot on my plate, I do like to write out everything that needs to happen. I like to plop it down in some sort of timeline so that I have a rough idea of what's going to happen when, just so all of the main things do get scheduled. And I just kind of stopped at 3:30 because oh, actually, well, okay, I'm not going to have as much time to edit as I thought, because I do have to pick up my son from daycare. Why do I keep calling it daycare? It's actually kindergarten. It's not even preschool, so oh, whoopsie. But I got to pick him up because my husband has a meeting after school, so hopefully just kind of later in the evening, after the kids go down, I can, you know, continue to edit. But photographing is something that I need to do in the daytime. That's what I've got on my docket. So what I wanted to do right now is just kind of show you what I'm working with here. here will package up this Fleek sale. Oh, so excited about that. And I'll actually show you some other items that I got from Fleek, tell you a little bit about Fleek, and I'll also show you some items that have already sold. You guys, I have made some good money off of this box that I purchased on Fleek, so super excited. Let's jump into it. All right, so to be honest, I have a couple more things I could ship, but I think I'll just save that for later. I am giving myself a lot of things to do after these kids go down, but I actually did so much shipping yesterday, and that's because yesterday I had a whatnot sale and I sold things to like 16 different people, so I had 16 packages going out, but I think I sold like 40 items of kids clothing of my son's stuff, which is really, really exciting. But I did also ship stuff that had sold over the weekend. This, like I said, just kind of came in overnight, and so I wanted to get it out also just so I could show it to you and brag on what a cool piece it was. But what I'm gonna do is print the label off of Mercari. I just, I wish I could show you, but I cannot because I don't want you to see their address. But the way that I do it is, oh, something else just sold on Mercari. You guys, it's a good sales like weekend / into Monday. Okay. I'll ship this stuff later and I'll show you the shipping later. How about that? I just want to get this one piece out first. But the item that I noticed just sold was this Liz Lange, which is like a, I think it's a Target brand, but it's like a maternity sweater. It is perfect for the season. So there you go. Okay. But what I do is I go into Mercari and I will pull up the label. Here is the super annoying thing about Mercari shipping labels, and please let me know if you know how to do what it is that I wish I could do, and if I'm just like missing something, because I feel like I am. So the annoying thing is when you ship a label on Mercari, it will not ship out nicely on like a Dymo or a roller. It doesn't ship out as a 4x6. So what I do is I take a screenshot of the label itself, and then I have like an application called Dymo Connect, and you can add a PDF. So I will just add the PDF of the label that I took a screenshot of, and then I'll print it that way, and it prints out as a 4x6. It's not that much work, but it is an additional step or two that I have to take, and it adds an extra like 45 seconds to a minute that I wish I didn't have to do. So it's fine. My label is printing, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this inside of a plastic kind of protective bag. I think the typical one that I use is not going to be big enough. So I actually got these huge bags from a local reseller. I had bought out her inventory. It's way over a year ago at this point, but I bought out her inventory, and she also gave me like all of her shipping supplies because she was done with reselling. And so she did give me like all of her USPS stuff that she had laying around her house, which is really funny because obviously that stuff I can get on my own too, and it's not like it costs money. But she also gave me things like this, which I was really thankful for because I didn't have any in that size, and I didn't even know that they made bags in this size, but it was very, very useful and helpful, especially when it comes to like these big bulky sweaters or jackets, things of that nature. Before I got those bags, I would purchase these at the Dollar Tree. These are 2.5 gallon Ziploc bags. There's 5 bags in here. I guess I should say $1.25 tree. So, I mean, they're kind of expensive. Like basically one of these bags is $1.25, but they're really sturdy. You can put, really big things in here like jackets, like boots, big bulky sweaters. So I'm glad that I have these from that local reseller. But if you don't want to purchase those on Amazon or anything like that, you can also just go to your local dollar, whatever you want to call it, and get these really heavy duty storage bags. Again, these are 2.5 gallon size bags, but I'm gonna try to use these up first so that I don't have to keep going to the $1.25 tree. So we're gonna put this in here. This sold for $80 on Mercari, and when I purchased a box on Fleek, I purchased a box from someone in the United States of 25 men's vintage sweaters. A lot of them were very reminiscent of like the 90s Coogee, you know, Cosby, hip hop, like 3D knit textured, that sort of look. There were things like this. There were just some 100% wool, like pattern things. And I'll show you the things that I have left. And I'll also, like I said, show you the things that sold, because there were some really great sales that have already gone through. It was a very pleasant experience. And okay, first of all, this is going out FedEx, so I cannot use a USPS box, but I do have some boxes that I've just kind of been hoarding, and I will pull one of those. So let me grab one of those first, and then we'll keep talking about this box that I ordered from Fleek. All right, so this is an Amazon box that we had received a package in many years ago. Not years, like weeks ago maybe. And I do like to save all of these and reuse them. The one thing that they ask you to do, I'm kind of being a little excessive and taking off like all of the stickers, but they definitely don't want you to keep your original shipping label on the box itself. In fact, if you try to ship out a box and it's got 2 separate labels on it, they will not take it. So you either need to take a Sharpie and like really kind of mark through the old shipping label, especially the barcode, or you just rip the shipping label off in the first place, or you can just put the new shipping label over on top of the old one. So I'm going to use this box for this sweater. It's a really good size. So I'm just going to put this in here, and then I'm going to write a thank you note. So like I was saying before, I purchased this box on the Fleek app. First of all, some of you might be saying, what in the world is Fleek? The last time I heard the word Fleek, it was an adjective to describe how good somebody's eyebrows looked. That is not what this app is about. I actually had the privilege to talk to someone on the phone who worked for Fleek. I took some notes, guys, while I was talking to him. So the person that I spoke to on the phone was Vishal. I could totally be saying his name wrong, and if I am, I'm so sorry, but he was part of the sales and marketing team. And I had the opportunity to talk with him over the phone about Fleek and just how they came to be. And the way that he described it, which I thought was really interesting and kind of cool, was Fleek is kind of like eBay for wholesalers. So there are people all over the world. So there are sellers in Pakistan and in France. And, you know, I think he said there were people represented from like, I don't know, like over 10, 20 countries or something like that, because people in different countries have access to different things. And so typically people will put together these bundles or lots. It's not these big bales or like pallets per se, because I know myself personally, I've gotten burned with pallets or even micro bales, things of that nature. The nice thing about Fleek is you get to see exactly what you're gonna get. So with my experience, you know, I've only purchased from them the one time. I was just kind of browsing through the Fleek site. I saw this one seller in the United States who had this lot of 25 sweaters, men's vintage sweaters. I saw the price for it, and I saw a picture of all the sweaters, so I knew exactly what I was getting. I've seen situations before where they show, you know, like a big palette, but it's like shrink wrap, so you have to kind of like, you know, zoom in and see if you can see through the shrink wrap to see maybe like a tiny bit of a brand or something. This was like you saw each sweater, and that was really nice. Furthermore, you can actually set up a time, like an appointment, to do a call with a Fleek seller, at which point you could actually maybe even go through that person's inventory with them and hand select which items you want. So I like that it was very catered to what the buyer wanted to do, also kind of catered to how the seller wanted to operate. But like I said, I just saw that this person happened to have this lot of 25 men's vintage sweaters, and I was like, you know what, I do love selling men's stuff. I have always wanted to like just see how vintage, you know, does, especially when it comes to these kinds of sweaters. I thought the price point was fair, and when they show you the price on Fleek, it always includes shipping, which I love. So it might kind of look like, ooh, this is really expensive, but that's because there are no additional shipping costs attached to it later. So, you know, I saw the price. I don't remember off the top of my head how much it is. I'll put it right here. I thought it was super fair. Each sweater came out to $13.54. And like I said, that included shipping, given that I just sold this sweater for $80 and I have sold a bunch of other sweaters as well from, you know, the box that I got. I've sold a few of them for $50 or more. I sold another one for like $90-ish. And I have sold some for, you know, 30, 35, 25, depending. And we'll talk about all those sales. But I was very pleasantly surprised with the quality of the items. And I'll show them to you here in a second. Very pleasantly surprised. So it was a really great experience. I do have a link if you want to check out Fleek. I do think I get a small little kickback for just sharing, you know, my experience with you. And I do have to put out there the fact that, you know, Fleek is just the platform through which you can connect with these other sellers. And I can only speak from my experience with this one seller, and that is, it was good. And even though it was good, it was not perfect, and I'm going to share what was imperfect about, you know, this experience. But you know, I'm sure there are some sellers on there who maybe are not amazing, and I'm sure there are sellers who are better. But my experience and the product that I received, it was good. And that's all I have to speak to is that one experience. Do I plan on shopping with them again? Absolutely. And to be honest, I think at this point, I'm just going to stick with this one seller for now because I had a really good experience with him. I trust him at this point. All right. Well, as promised, we've already had some shifting in the schedule, but that was my fault, not my daughter's. It is because my camera ran out of battery, and that is a rookie YouTuber mistake. So I had to wait a few hours for that to go ahead and charge, and while I did that, I went ahead and photographed a bunch of stuff. But let's go ahead and finish packaging up this package from way earlier. The postman still hasn't come. I do porch pickup, which if you don't do porch pickup, I know, you know, I've heard from some people that they just cannot because of the fact that maybe it just doesn't work for them where they live. Some people live in apartments. Some people don't live in a safe area, and you know, their items actually get taken from their porch, which is really sad. And also, I feel like this box. Look, I feel like I need to get a different box. Hold on. Hold on. Do you feel like this person will mind if I send them their sweater in this red grapefruit box? It's a great box, and you know, we're just committing to the idea of reducing, reusing, and recycling, so I don't see why that would be an issue. I gotta get like the air out of this. Okay, let's see if this works too. It should not be this difficult, but I think, yes, this is much better. All right. Hopefully this person doesn't get upset because they see the box and they're so excited about getting some grapefruit, and instead they get this amazing sweater. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to close this up, and then we're going to throw this outside on the porch with the other packages that are going out for the day. And then I will show you some of the sweaters. They are truly amazing. I'm so excited to show you. So let's go ahead and stick this label on. This is going to Utah. All right, Utah. Okay, let's go look at all of my packages. Do you think my postman's gonna hate me? Okay, we'll just throw this on top of that bag. All right, let me show you some sweaters. Let's get into the fun stuff. Here is the first one. To be honest, this is, I believe, a women's piece. And I did ask the question, you know, what do I do if there's a flaw? Because there are a few flawed items that you'll see as well. What do I do if there's a flaw or there's something wrong with the item? Like, for example, this is a women's piece. It said that it was going to be a men's vintage sweater box. And they said you can reach out to the seller directly. And if you're not able to reach a good, you know, conclusion with that person after talking to them directly, then you can reach out to Fleek and they'll kind of intervene on your behalf. But they also said, like, you know, especially with it being vintage stuff, because Fleek really is just for vintage clothing. They said, like, you do have to kind of expect a percentage of pieces to maybe have some flaws and issues because they are not just used, they're vintage. They're like super old, you know? And so I was kind of contemplating, do I want to reach out to the seller and let them know? But to be honest, I was really happy with my box. And even the items with flaws, I knew that they would still sell. So I just went ahead and didn't say anything. But if you know, got a box, you weren't super pleased with it, that's kind of the protocol as far as how you would deal with the issues. And so this is the first item, and it is a women's piece, which technically is kind of a flaw, but look at how good it is. Like, holy moly, it is so good, especially Oh my gosh, that like floral right there. Okay, hold on. I have to check a really important email. I've been like checking my email all day for this. It's something to do with school. It's to see like which of my students got into Allstate. Let me finish talking about this and then I'm gonna go check my email. Okay, so the brand is Autentico Forenza in a size large. It's made of ramie and cotton. And someone told me this was a brand sold at the Limited. So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't remember Limited having fire stuff like this, but good for them. And I'm really happy that this got sent to me. And even though it's not a men's piece, man, it's good. It's a good piece. Okay, sorry, I got super distracted because the email came in that they released Allstate results. 2 of my kids got in, which is amazing. I don't think I've ever had 2 Coral students make it. And I tell them all the time, I don't really care if you make it or not. Like, it has no bearing on me or on anyone, but I get really excited because that means we get to go away for a weekend and I get to go like as a chaperone and I get to do a lot of thrifting. So anyway, okay, moving on. I'm gonna show you such a good sweater. I'm a little confused as to why it hasn't sold yet. And everything that I'm showing you right now is still listed. It's listed in my Poshmark closet, eBay store, Depop. Obviously, a lot of these pieces have been doing so well on Depop and selling on Depop. But yeah, these things are still available and I don't get it. Like, look at this. Now, I did not get any Kuji in my box. I was not expecting to, and I knew I wouldn't because, again, I was able to see what was in the box before I got it, before I even purchased it. This is the brand Roundtree in York, and honestly, brand doesn't super matter when it comes to these vintage, like 90s Y2K pieces. It's more the style. The only time the brand super matters is if it's like Kuji. This is in a size medium, but, ugh, look at like how good. And I think what I've learned as I studied comps when listing these items, I learned a lot of the terms to use as keywords when listing these kinds of items. So one thing that people said to use in the description is the word like 3D knit or textured knit. Obviously, you can use Cosby as a keyword, you can use hip hop, 90s, Santa Claus. There's a lot of things that you can use, and you just want to use some of those types of words so that you can direct people as they're searching for this particular style. You can direct them to your listing. If you just write vintage sweater or cool sweater, people who are looking for this kind of sweater, like, they know what they're looking for. They know they're looking for, a Cosby style sweater, or they know they're looking for the 3D knit or the textured knit. And so those are the kinds of words that you want to use, but man, this is so good. It has actually sold before on Depop, but the person never ended up paying. That is the worst thing about Depop, is that people can make offers, you can accept said offers, and they don't have to pay. And I don't think anything bad happens to them. So I think these people just keep doing it over and over again. I have no doubt in my mind that this will sell very soon. This ended up selling for $70 with me paying for shipping on Depop basically right after I filmed this video. It's a great sweater. It is perfect, perfectly reminiscent of that 90s hip-hop Cosby style sweater that is doing so well. Even still, this style of sweater has been popular for years. Like, it's been a few years at this point, but it's still going really strong. These pieces have received so much attention on all of my platforms because people are all about it. They're all about it. Okay. Oh! I'm ripping my Ziploc bags. Okay. Putting that one away. All right, here's our next one. This one is so good. I mean, I'm just gonna say that about all of them, so I'll try to stop. This is Colors by Alexander Julian. Again, brand isn't super important. This is in a size large, and this is like giving me major alpine, ski resort, festive, like even, ugly Christmas sweater. Look at the giant snowflakes. Oh, it's so good. So this is amazing. Currently listed. Has gotten a decent amount of attention. It's not quite as desirable, I would say, as the Kuji style sweaters, right? But still, these vintage like grandpa sweaters, they're doing really well. People are looking for them, but the keywords just are not quite as captivating as they would be for, that Kuji sweater style. So that's partly why I think this isn't getting quite as much attention as that one. Here is another one. This one is by Izod, and this is in a size large. I think most of us are pretty familiar with Izod. Again, kind of more of like an alpine ski type print. Great oversized sleeves. This one's really soft. What are you made out of? 100% cotton. Just great quality. It's so heavy duty. It has kind of like a, I mean, it is a crew neck, but it almost seems like a little bit higher of a neckline. This one, again, has not gotten quite as much interest, but I have no doubt in my mind that it will sell pretty soon here. And I think these kinds of things are so great for people who go skiing and stuff. Let me know if you are a skier. Like, I really want to go stay at like one of those mountain resorts in like Colorado, and my husband is like,
why? We do not ski.
but I still want to go. Like, I feel like it would still be really pretty and fun to do in the winter time. Let me know. Let me know if you go to those kinds of places and you do not ski, or let me know if you ski and if it's worth like trying to teach my kids how to do it. I've gone skiing before, but I'm not amazing. But my husband, he's not a fan. He's not a fan of going and trying. Next up, so this is one of the items that did have a flaw, and I'll show you what it is. It's still, oh, it's still such a cool sweater. So vintage chaps Ralph Lauren, such a cool tag. Size medium, cotton polyester, made in the USA. A lot of these were made in the USA. Very appropriate for the ski resort, very alpine, you know, that sort of thing. The flaw is that there are two pretty big holes in the back. Why are they there like that? I don't know. I don't know what could have happened. But two pretty big holes in the back. It has still, oh, nope, there's like three. There's multiple holes. There's one kind of lower down too. Of course, oh, no. Now I can't find it. But there, you know, oh, here it is. There are some holes. It'll still sell. Like, people understand this is vintage. It's not going to be in pristine condition. Pieces this good obviously were worn back in the day when, you know, they were originally purchased. And the fact that they're still around for us to just admire is amazing. So obviously I priced this one a little bit lower, but I have full confidence that it'll sell, and that it'll sell pretty soon, even with the flaws. Let me know too down in the comments below. Are you a fan of selling items with flaws? Maybe I shouldn't say are you a fan of it, but do you? Do you do it? Do you list items even if they have flaws? I do. And sometimes it kicks me in the butt, but that does not deter me from listing items with flaws, because most people will read the description and look at the pictures, and you know, they understand why the price is so low. So there are a few items in here that are kind of like that. Okay, let's keep going. All right, this one, did it not have a brand? Let me see what's going on here. Maybe this one didn't have a brand. Okay, I don't even remember what's going on with this one, but look how cool. It's like blue and white, and it's got these reindeer and this amazing snowflake on the front. I don't see any tags on this, and so this is one that like, I don't even know if I listed this one. I gotta check. I'm gonna say that there's for sure at least some kind of like wool blend in this thing, but holy cow, like who doesn't want to wear that on their next ski trip? A lot of these are just very appropriate for skiing, so, and I don't know why I have such a love for the look when I, as I have already mentioned, am not a skier, but oh, it's just, they're so good. These sweaters are so good. All right, next up, this one, let me see. I feel like there was a flaw somewhere, and I can't remember, but the brand is Lauren Ralph Lauren. A long time ago, I used to believe that this was only a women's brand, but they actually do make men's clothing. They even do like button-up shirts and stuff like that. Okay, this one was probably one of the like not so exciting ones. It was still okay. The brand is Maxam, and it is a size extra large, made in the USA. I just feel like this one isn't as good as some of the other ones. Nothing wrong with it, I don't think. I don't think there's like any flaws or anything. It just didn't excite me the way that those ski sweaters did. I guess because it had nothing to do with skiing. I don't know. But yeah, and I think it's like mainly acrylic, but it still, you know, fit the criteria as far as vintage is concerned. Clearly this is a vintage piece. I just, you know, it wasn't really my cup of tea. And that's okay. It has gotten some interest on my various reselling platforms. People have liked it. No one's like put it in their cart or anything like that, but I have full confidence that it will sell fairly quickly. And I was right, because it sold a few days later on eBay for my full asking price of $34.99. This one I think may have had a flaw. Let's see. So this is Boston Traders, and it's funny because there's also one by Atlantic Traders. Oh, this one is so good. No flaws, I don't think. Just, oh, this is like the sweater of my geometric dreams. It is just so good. Look at that. Oh, it's such a cool sweater. Yeah, so a lot of them were kind of more like, plain is not the right word, but you get what I'm saying. Like, not as crazy as that Roundtree in New York one that I showed you, but I think it was a good balance, and I think a lot of people enjoy and like, you know, vintage sweaters, but that doesn't necessarily mean they want it to be those crazy loud sweaters. So I like that there are sweaters like this mixed in. This one has been getting a lot of attention. I'm kind of surprised it hasn't sold yet. You'll see in the sold ones another sweater by this brand that sold fairly quickly, probably within a few days of being listed. This is in a size medium. It is wool, acrylic, and nylon. Woolrich is a great brand. And I do think they've been around for a while, as evidenced by the fact that these are, you know, older pieces, as you can tell. It's got this really interesting knit pattern to it, as you can see. Like, you can just tell the handiwork that went into this. And I do feel like part of the issue with this kind of stuff is when you take a picture of it for your cover photo and you get the whole sweater in the picture, it's hard to see just the craftsmanship in the picture. Like, if I hold it up to the camera like this, you can see just how good it is, and it's harder to see that, I think, just from a quick cover shot. And maybe this is the kind of item where, I don't know, maybe I would have benefited from the cover photo not necessarily being the entire sweater, but a close-up of the fabric. I don't know. Let me know what you would have done. But I think this is going to sell really soon because, like I said, it has been getting a ton of attention. I think this is another one that sold on Depop and the person just never paid for it. I've been getting those a lot lately on Depop. I've also just been getting so much attention on Depop since listing these items because this is exactly what the Depop buyer is looking for. Thankfully, someone did take the time and effort to, you know, click through the pictures and see that this piece was worth buying, and I sold it for $40 on Depop, and I also paid for shipping. This one I thought was pretty good. The brand is Bugle Boy Co. It's 100% acrylic, which isn't ideal, but it's a pretty cool piece. Just nice and loud, nice fun geometric print, a nice big sleeve, but it really like kind of comes together here at the wrist. It's a fun piece. There is quite a bit of pilling on here, which is to be expected. There's also a piece of hair. That could be mine, that could be the previous owner's, who knows? That could be hair from 1984 for all we know. But yeah, cool piece. I actually am fairly certain that this one has also sold on Depop, but just never been paid for. So a lot of instances of that happening on Depop. What are you gonna do? Have no fear, this sold as well on Depop for $41, but you can see I net $38.89, although again I did pay for shipping because I pay for shipping on everything on Depop. Alright, we only have a few more before we get into the solds. This one I was kind of rant about. It was in like fine condition, I'm pretty sure. Nothing was wrong with it, it just wasn't nearly as exciting as the other ones. So this one is the brand Marquise. I think also I just wasn't super excited about anything that was 100% acrylic. This is in a size extra large. Oh my gosh. Look! Like, the print is still pretty cool. Like, it looks like the inside of like a cave, like caveman drawings or something. Okay, I take it back. It's pretty cool, but it's just much more subtle. The colors are much more muted. It's a lot more like neutral colors. And so again, I don't think it's the kind of sweater that you can take a picture of it and the cover photo is gonna like get people to stop scrolling. You know what I mean? It's not that kind of sweater the way that some of these other sweaters were, and especially the way that a lot of the sweaters that have already sold, you know, the way that they are, those were sweaters that would make you stop in your tracks. as you were scrolling through your feed. This one does not want to go back in its bag. By the way, if you're wondering like what even is going on with these bags, I can show you really quickly after I stuff this one in like a pig in a blanket.
It's the pigs. They're reluctant to get in the blanket.
So the way that I do my inventory, and I do have a video that I will link right here, I just have over like close to 1,000 of these gallon size bags, and I number them, and that's the SKU number. So you know, I give every item that I list a SKU number, and when this sells, so when number 733 sells, then I know to pull 733 from my bins, and then I hold on to the bag, and when I have a new item, you know, that I've photographed and listed, it can go in here, and this will be the SKU for the new item. So I like to reuse stuff as much as possible when I can. I've been using this system for close to 5 years now, and some of these bags have been with me for 5 years. So there you go. This one is another one that I'm pretty sure it's sold and it just didn't get paid for. So this is Wimbledon collection by Racket Club, 100% cotton, made in the USA, size extra large. It is good. It is good. Again, maybe not quite as bright and as crazy as some of the other sweaters, but it's good. No, you know what? This one, it's not that it had sold, but someone messaged me about sleeve lengths. The way that I do measurements is I will do for sweaters and tops and things of that nature, I will do pit to pit, and I will do length. I don't do sleeves. And I understand, especially on vintage pieces, why people want sleeve lengths, but I don't do them. And so someone reached out and asked for a sleeve length on this particular sweater. I think that was over on Mercari, and he was trying to get it to match with something, like this sweater was gonna go with some outfit or something. But the sleeve length was just not long enough. I think this man was like 6'7" or something, he said. So I did not make the sale, but I'm not worried. I know it's gonna sell to someone else, and I do believe that it's gonna sell fairly quickly. This one is probably my favorite. It is so good. It is just so good. It's not a Kuji type sweater, but it's so good. So the brand is Country Club of the Rockies. It's knitted by hand. I couldn't find a single comp for anything by this brand. Yeah, I have no idea the story of this tag, of this label, but I just went ahead and listed it high, and you'll see why. It's just so good. I think I listed it for like 125. I don't even mind sitting on it for a long time because maybe I'll wear it to a few, like, look at how good. Oh my gosh. I cannot. It's so good. So I did use, you know, phrases like 3D textured knit, because there is some like aspects of it kind of like popping out. It's just so good. Yeah. And you know, I'll be honest with you, after I got this box from Fleek, I was like, man, I need to get more sweaters like this because they are amazing and they get a lot of attention and they sell really well and for good money. So the next time I went to the thrift store, I made a beeline to the men's section of the thrift store, specifically looking for sweaters like this. I looked in the sweater section. There was nothing. There's nothing like this because these are a diamond in the rough. You're not going to find this stuff super readily, and that's why I purchased this particular bundle or lot, if you will, is because I know that these are not things that I have found commonly in my area. I think that the seller that I purchased from, I think he was located in New York, and that tracks for me. That makes sense that he would find more of this kind of stuff in the state of New York. I'm assuming he goes to, you know, places like the Bins, but also they have far more thrift stores than I do here. And yeah, I would love to keep, you know, selling this kind of stuff. I just don't know that I'll be able to find it. And that's why I want to definitely visit him again, his store, if you will, or his, whatever you want to call it, his profile on Fleek, because I really liked his taste. I really liked, you know, the items that he sent. It was good stuff. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through some of the items that I've already sold. These items have all sold within a week, 2 weeks of being listed, because all of this stuff has not been listed for very long. But I really just wanted to give you a complete overview of, hey, it's been a couple weeks. I didn't want to just show you like me taking things out of the box, because it's cool. Like, it's cool to see what I got, but I think more important is how did those items do? Did they get a lot of attention? What were keywords that I used when listing those items that I feel like were beneficial in terms of getting those items seen? I think all of that information that I was able to gain from going through the process of photographing and listing them and all that kind of stuff, I think that this makes for a more valuable video. So I hope you don't mind the kind of haphazardness of it, but let's go through some of the sales so you can see which of these amazing sweaters from this lot sold first. And also, just to give you some perspective, I have 13 sweaters left. That means about half of them have already sold. And again, that's under 2 weeks. That's remarkable. That's amazing. That's a sell-through rate that I'm pretty happy with, especially, you know, it's not even been a month since all these items have been listed. So pretty excited about that. We'll start with this Mercari sale. It was this Atlantic Traders geometric print sweater. And to be honest, this was kind of a mess. It had like a huge chunk of the sweater missing on one side, which I took pictures of and, you know, put in the description. You can see that I put the word flawed in caps in the listing title, and I listed the condition as fair. I feel like I was very upfront, but the person got this and tried to open a case on me, saying that, you know, she wanted a refund because this had a huge hole in it. And I was like, yeah, I told you that it did. And then the next thing I knew, the case was dropped because I think she looked at the listing and realized that I had been upfront. She just didn't read. But, you know, regardless, I sold it for $25 and got my money because she had to drop the case. This sweater by Protégé Collection was also flawed in that there was a lot of yellowing right at the neckline on the inside of the sweater. And then there were also a few exterior stains. So I didn't list it that high, even though it's a really great kind of like Kuji style sweater again. But I did still manage to sell it for $29. I believe I had it listed for $35, and I was really happy with that given the flaws that I just mentioned. This was probably one of the most plain sweaters that was in the box. It was a Woolrich sweater and it sold for $34. However, when you got in real close, you could see that it wasn't just plain blue, but it had all these really great speckled, you know, pieces of yarn and, you know, a lot of color. But it was another one that the cover photo itself, I don't think really forced people to stop scrolling. And yet, like I said, it did sell fairly quickly, under 2 weeks, for $34. I was very pleasantly surprised with this sale because this Brooks Brothers sweater did not get as much attention as some of the other sweaters. It didn't get a whole ton of likes or views, but it was made of 100% new wool and it was made in Scotland, and eventually it sold for my full asking price of $50 on Poshmark. This sweater was by the brand Pendleton. This was also made of 100% wool. It was pure virgin wool. This was another sweater that the closer you zoomed in, you could see so many more details, especially when it came to color. But, you know, just the cover photo itself, I don't know how much it forced people to stop, and yet it sold for $48.74 under 2 weeks. You can see that I had to make a bundle on Mercari for this buyer named Anne. She wanted both sweaters and I wanted to make sure that she got a really good deal, especially when it came to shipping. The top sweater was by the brand Consensus and probably isn't worth a ton, but it was a really cool Henley sweater. And then the sweater on the bottom was this really cool black Disney golf sweatshirt. I had never heard of Disney golf, didn't even know that that was a thing, but it's Mickey, you know, taking a swing with his golf club. I made the bundle. I sold it to her for $77 for both those pieces, and I was especially happy because the Consensus piece, like I said, I was afraid that it wasn't really going to move very quickly because it was just a Henley top, you know? It was a cool looking Henley top, but it was a Henley top. And then the Disney sweatshirt, while super cool, Mickey did have some stains, I believe kind of near his ear, and the black wasn't like a nice bright black. There was some wash wear, some fade to it. But I was happy to move those items to Anne for $77. This was a pretty plain sweater. It did have like a window pane print. It was by the brand Sedgefield and it sold for $40. This sweater was hands down one of the best sweaters in this box. It was exactly what I was looking for. It had that Kuji style, that Cosby style, and it actually sold on 3 different platforms within minutes of each other. And it was really frustrating because it wasn't like the first day that I listed it. It actually sold like 3 days after I listed it on 3 different platforms, literally within 10 minutes, but it won out on Depop. They paid $85 and they actually paid for shipping on this item. I had accidentally charged shipping, and so I made a killing on this one sweater, and it was by the brand Cellini Collezioni. Another top sale from this Fleek box by the brand Croft & Barrow, which I know we've all seen at the thrift store and avoid like the plague, because when it is, you know, current day Croft & Barrow, it's no good. But the vintage stuff, especially if it's got that 3D knit textured goodness, oh my goodness, this sold for $60. I did pay for shipping, but it was a great sale. So let's see, let's look back at my list of things to do. I am filming right now, although I need to film some more. I did eat lunch. I did not make a good decision in my lunch. I had some instant ramen noodles. Probably not the best choice, but yeah. I did photograph because I couldn't film because I didn't have batteries, so I think that's done. I have not edited anything yet today, and I don't think that I'm gonna get to that until the children go down later. So what are you gonna do? But what I am gonna do now is wrap up this video, paint my daughter's nails, because that's what she wants to do as she feels miserable and sick. Pretty nails are gonna make her feel better, and I get it, totally get it. I'm gonna paint her nails, and what I would advise you to do right now is subscribe to my channel, because as the rest of these sweaters that I showed you sell through, you'll be able to see those sweaters pop up in future What Sold videos. So yeah, I'll link a playlist of What Sold videos here so you know kind of the style of my What Sold videos. Make sure you like this video so that it gets pushed out by the YouTube algorithm. And finally, if you wanna make a purchase on Fleek, if you wanna look around and see what kinds of things are on Fleek for yourself, don't forget to use my code. I'll have it linked down in the description below, and hopefully get some vintage fires sent to your home as well. Again, I can only speak to the one experience, but my was it a good one. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, I have had some stinky experiences when it comes to wholesale, and this was not one of them. This was really, really phenomenal, so I cannot speak more highly of it. That is today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!